If you're using a vacuum erection device, otherwise known as a penis pump, so might have so look like this, for erectile dysfunction, and you're thinking, why isn't this thing working? Then this video is for you. Over the past decade, I've worked with thousands of men recovering erectile function after prostate cancer treatment through my website, A Touchy Subject. And there are very clear patterns that show up when it comes to pumping. The main thing I want you to take away from this video is this: troubleshooting is completely normal with pumping. So let's get into 6 potential problems and how to solve them. First problem, air leaking in at the base. So if you're pumping and barely seeing any engorgement inside the cylinder itself, the issue is not often the device, but it's a poor seal against the base of the pump in the body. There are 3 things to check here. Firstly, pubic hair in particular can break the vacuum seal and allow air in. And if the air is leaking in, the vacuum pressure drops. So easy fix, shaving or even just trimming your pubic hair can make a huge difference, and it will likely make the whole experience a lot more comfortable and easeful. The second part to this is lubricant. A generous amount of water-based lubricant around the base of the cylinder helps create a proper airtight seal. You just have to make sure this isn't a silicone or an oil-based lubricant, especially if the pump you're using is made of silicone, if the opening is, because these types of lubes, they can damage the integrity of those silicone materials. You can go with something cheap here when it comes to water-based lubricant, and the thicker, the better. I just recommend that if you're then having intercourse afterwards, switch it up to a higher quality lubricant to give your partner the best ingredients for their body. We have a lubricant guide below this video for you to check out for that. The third thing to check is the opening of the pump. So many commercial pumps like this style here, they come with usually a rubber or a silicone opening that actually might not be the best fit for your body. And in fact, if you're finding that your testicles are getting sucked up into the pump cylinder when pumping, firstly, ouch, I am so sorry you've had that experience. But secondly, do not worry, because there are alternative pump openings out there like this one here. I'll link this in the description, that you can buy separately. And this both prevents testicle suck-up and it helps prevent air escaping from the cylinder. So problem 2, using the wrong sized constriction ring. Now this one is extremely common when it comes to the disappointment factor. You buy a pump with high hopes, you pump up and you see a glorious erection inside the cylinder. You then remove the pump and the erection immediately deflates. Here's the rule. A pump brings blood in, but a ring keeps it there. So when you've got erectile dysfunction whereby you're not experiencing any function when aroused, then your body is entirely relying on the right size constriction ring to hold all of that engorgement in after you remove the pump. Now, if you're using a ring and the erection is still deflating after pumping, likely you've just got the wrong sized ring. The trickiness here, though, is that you often cannot predict the right sized ring in advance. This tends to be a process of trial and error once you have a pump and a ring set, and it can change over time as your function changes. This is why medical grade pump systems designed specifically for ED tend to come with multiple ring sizes that are easily integrated into the pumping experience. So for example, you get 10 rings with the Vacurect kit. So you can work down one size at a time until you find that Goldilocks type size just for you. Give you an example of those. Here's the largest size and the smallest size. If you've got one of those more classic pump systems where there's a separate ring attachment system, I've heard really great things about investing in the post-T vac rings. And if you're getting some natural engorgement already, you might find that just a simple stretchy ribbed ring, just like this one here, can work just as well. The third problem is technique issues. So sometimes men tell me they're seeing an uneven fullness when they've pumped. It might look a bit swollen or even bulging at the base. Now, most of this actually comes down to technique and positioning. The solution for this is going to vary pump to pump. So this is one of those sections where actually watching demonstration videos, live demo videos of men who are in the same position as you, use pumps correctly, will help you get an idea of how to adjust your technique. So if you're not sure you're pumping correctly, you can check out our demonstration video library. This is where you get to see pump instructional videos being given by men who have erectile dysfunction, teaching you how to pump exactly right. The fourth problem is pumping too fast. If you've noticed any red dots, mild bruising, or tenderness after pumping, the most common cause is usually pumping too quickly. So when vacuum pressure increases too rapidly, that can burst tiny capillaries under the skin. And this can look alarming, but it usually resolves within a few days if you just take a break from pumping. Remember, your penis is not an air mattress. Liquid moves slower than air, so you need to give your body time to catch up to the pressure change that you've created in the cylinder when you quickly removed air with the pumping motion. So the key here is slow, gradual pressure when you pump. Maybe having a rule like taking a deep breath between each time you pump, or counting 5 seconds between each pump can help avoid that experience of going too fast. Again, watching those proper instructional demonstrations can really help here too. Pumping is so visual, it's often hard to learn the correct techniques just from written instructions. Problem number 5, the pumped erection is different to a natural erection. So this one is so important to help avoid disappointment. If you've had complete erectile dysfunction for a while with no natural arousal response, the erection you get from a pump and ring will most likely look and feel different from a natural erection. Here's what you might experience. You might get a lot of engorgement, but without the firmness. One gentleman in my touchy audience actually calls this the floppy sausage effect. Often it hangs down, which is known as the hinge effect, because the engorgement is in the penis only and not in the internal penile body. The erection might also be cool to the touch. It feels like it might lack sensitivity and might also have a blue or a purple tinge due to the amount of venous blood being drawn in during the pumping process. Now, this isn't everyone's experience, which is interesting to note, but it's worth knowing what you might expect so that none of the above is a surprise if it does happen. And also, none of this means that pumping isn't worth it. If you're using a pump for rehabilitation, this act prevents shrinkage, and while there is venous blood flow drawn in, as mentioned before, there is more oxygenated blood flow coming into a pumped erection than when flaccid. So this helps make up for potentially the loss of nocturnal erection activity that you might be experiencing if you had something like prostate surgery. Also, you can have sex with this erection. It might just involve some adapting. There are many ways to approach intercourse with softer erections, and we have a lot of stories in the Hub membership from couples who have happily incorporated the pump into sex. So lastly, the 6th common pumping problem that I come across is relying solely on the pump. Now, the pump is a tool. And in fact, this may just end up being one component of your full erection recipe. Arousal still matters, some form of manual stimulation beforehand, such as jelqing, which you can learn about again in our Hub membership. We have a live demonstration video in there, can help a lot with pump erection quality as well as overall satisfaction. Also, combining the pump with PDE5 inhibitors, such as Viagra or Cialis, can also help erection quality, of course, only if your doctor recommends this for the exact situation that you are in. Seek a medical practitioner for that. And even using a male vibrator afterwards, I've heard, can help improve rigidity and sensation. I have a video actually all about male vibrators for ED and how to use them, which you can watch next if you want to. So one final note that I want to end on. I've heard from men over the years who worry about bringing a pump into the bedroom. They're worried about it being awkward, weird, or even shameful. But the feedback I've had from partners of men in my audience is very clear. There is nothing more attractive than a man taking control of his sexual health to improve his quality of life and bring a way of connecting back into the relationship. Now, I know this is all very well for me to say. I'm not where you are. And maybe my whole empowered pumping mission isn't exactly what you need to hear right now, but I hope you've at least taken away some ideas in this video that can help you ease into pumping or give an old device that you might have given up on in the bedroom some new life with some adjustments in technique and mindset. This can be an absolute game changer. I've heard many men in my audience describe their pump as literally their best friend on their rehab journey, so I hope this can provide the same for you. If this video resonated with you and you want structured guidance, demonstration videos, and real conversations with other men navigating this, I highly encourage you to join our Hub membership. This is where you'll get access to all our resources, including that demonstration video library that I've mentioned a few times in this video. Alternatively too, you can just buy that demo video library as a one-off product if you want to make sure you are totally nailing the technique for best erection results with the exact pump that you've got. Thank you very much for listening. And as always, please feel free to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you've enjoyed this content, and feel free to share your experiences too in the comment box below. I love hearing from you.